Hello there, and welcome to Project dionvach. Dionvach is a planet that is similar to Earth in ways, and over time, and approximately however long I tend to keep this going, will grow fascinating and strange life and animals on it. Let's start our journey in I'd say about 1 to 3 billion years at the start of this planet. I'm going to call this the krostach period. Due to the fact that this planet is fairly young, and also that life has just sprouted, it's going to look incredibly strange and reminiscent of the Cambrian period of Earth. Our first animal is a herbivorous fish. This fish will have a very interesting journey through its millions of years on this planet. Its name is Tentaculum piscis. Tentaculum piscis is a very, very early herbivore and has not developed jaws yet, and instead is a filter feeder and uses its strangely shaped mouth. It is semi-reminiscent of very early herbivores from Earth, and also cell-stage spore creatures that are herbivores, because they have a weird fucking mouth. They are relatively low in the food chain and are prey animals to most carnivores, even some of the weakest and smallest, as they have no true way of defense. Another fairly early creature that isn't a herbivore is the carnivore. Mandibula jacar is the first, or one of the first apex predators on the planet, and tends to hunt anything smaller than it, and sometimes even creatures of the same size as it. It is incredibly fierce and is near the top of the food chain. It's incredibly dangerous and spans up to about 3 feet long. These creatures care not for raising their young and will tend to lay them in small crevices in the rocks or in coral, and will typically leave the eggs to go hunt for other food, and will usually leave the babies to raise themselves. Viridis diabolus and Cata cucolops are also strange animals. Viridis diabolus, or diabolus as I will call it, is a carnivore that is a bit lower on the food chain and isn't an apex predator but is still very deadly. They span about 5 feet in length, and they also tend to hunt cucolops. Cucolops are small cyclopsian creatures that appear to have what can only be described as flagella for non-cell creatures, where fins or arms would be. They are filter feeders similar to the tentaculums. However, they are much weaker and are practically just fodder. They will be eaten by most carnivores and are at the very, very bottom of the food chain, most likely ending up going extinct very, very early on due to not having any defense mechanism. Flora angelus is a carnivorous species that tends to hide in small crevices and cracks in the rocks. They will wait for smaller herbivores or smaller carnivores to pass by them before digging in their jaws and devouring them with their mandibles. These creatures are highly dangerous and are also very small, only spanning about a foot long. They are deadly to other animals at least, but to an average human, you could probably stomp them out in a few kicks. The animals tend to lay their eggs in small, empty shells that lie at the bottom of the ocean floor. They aren't as absent, but they don't tend to raise their young, only occasionally going to the shell to drop off food or dead animals for the children to feast on. They tend to lay litters of about 3 to 6 puppies. Not puppies, but babies. They don't care much for their young, and sometimes will even sacrifice them to bigger carnivores so that they can get out. They also don't tend to be very loyal mates, as they will tend to switch to other animals very quickly, and are also fairly, how do I put this? They will kill their mates after they tend to lay eggs, or the females will kill the males after mating. The animals are not the nicest creatures and will attempt to eat or kill anything smaller than it. They will not try to fight anything bigger than them and will often try to offer a sacrifice as they fear death. They are not that smart compared to animals on Earth and often will be killed by something bigger than them. Their litter also tends to not survive, but they get lucky if they put them in small enough areas or shells. The young also are incredibly fast and are normally able to outrun predators. Gigant fungules is what planet Dionvach had before trees were big enough to produce actual oxygen for the animals to breathe. Gigant fungules, or fungules as I will call it, would instead produce spores that would fall into the ocean and that the animals would breathe in. It is reminiscent of fungi that existed on Earth during the Cambrian period. This fungus is also it's fairly fragile. You could cave it in with a shovel or chop it down with a sword made out of wood. It's very weak, but it gets the job done. You may also notice the flaming red sun in the background. Dionvach is the way that it is because it does not have a yellow sun like Earth, and it does not have a blue sun. It has a dwarf sun that is red. The planet will eventually see trees sprout, but for now this is the closest thing. Gigant fungules translates to giant fungus, which is, well, it's named how scientific names are made. Latin roots. Thank you for coming on this voyage with me, and hopefully we can explore the creatures of Dionvach again in the next few million years. Goodbye.